Hello and welcome to Simply Astrology. Today we're going to have a look at the inauguration of Barack Obama and see what this promises for the people of the United States. Just to establish some context as to what's happening in the world today, we're going to have a look at one of the main influences that is ruling world events. And that influence is the planet which rules a lot of people, large groups of people, and that planet is Uranus. And against Uranus, at 19 degrees of Pisces, we find the planet Saturn. And Saturn, which represents challenge and difficulties, also limitations, restrictions and loss. All of these things which represent Saturn are against those things which represent the people, also innovation and change and modernity, you might say. In another sense too, we could look at Saturn being in Virgo. Saturn is here in an earth sign, and this means that Saturn is bringing material hardship, and in another sense it's challenging the spiritual nature of Pisces, or it could be called a time of testing one's soul. But on this day of inauguration, we find that there's a lot of happiness about, and we see that Venus, a planet which has to do with happiness, is sitting right beside Uranus. So we could say that in spite of the adversity of Saturn, the people are feeling, at the moment, some degree of happiness. Now Venus moves fairly fast, a lot faster than Uranus, so Venus has been moving into this position fairly rapidly, while the relationship between Uranus and Saturn has been very slow-moving and will persist for some time yet. Also, don't be surprised though that Saturn will have some adverse effect on Venus, so at this time we'll also be hearing bad news in the financial markets. But with Uranus there'll be some unexpected and positive surprises. On another note, there's no question that there is a lot of optimism in the air about the ascendancy of Barack Obama to president, and we see this optimism reflected in Jupiter, and we always like to see what Jupiter is doing when there's a lot of joy and optimism in the air. And we see that it's right beside the Sun. This means that the events of the day, the primary issues of the day, the primary focus of the day is blessed, you might say, with a very positive influence from Jupiter. With Jupiter and the Sun in Aquarius, that's a sign which has to do with technology, it has to do with the people, it has to do with social reform and bringing forward changes which, in a sense, disrupt the old and make way for the new. With Jupiter's presence here, that whole process should be done in a very positive way. On this point, we see that there's a positive link to the position of the Moon, which is in Sagittarius in the 11th house. This is the house to do with the people. It suggests there will be a lot of Sagittarian exuberance and outpouring, a lot of love being given out by the people. And that love will be directed towards the primary events of the day, which, in this case and at this time, is the inauguration of Barack Obama. As can be seen, there are many planets in the sign of Aquarius, too many even to fit in my little diagram here. All of this simply emphasizes the significance of Aquarius in this new presidency. We also note that the North Node is in Aquarius, again speaking of a destiny which involves dramatic social change. With Mercury in Aquarius, it means new ideas, new concepts, new ways of thinking about things. Continuing to assume that Jupiter is exerting a positive influence over all these planets, we can also say that Chiron in Aquarius means better relationships, new relationships. It does promise that people as a collective can work more harmoniously with each other. And with Neptune also in Aquarius, this suggests seeking more truth and honesty, more compassion should be one of the social priorities. All of this speaks of a tremendous revolution, a tremendous process of reform. And with the Moon in Sagittarius, this suggests that the people will have the heart to participate in and advance this cause. Now, one of the key attributes of this particular combination of planets today is the relationship that Mars has with Uranus and Venus. It suggests that the people have the ability to implement the changes that are being inspired by Aquarius. Mars is about doing, about initiating, and it's in the sign of Capricorn. And traditionally, you'll find that in the horoscopes of nation shakers and movers, Capricorn figures prominently. It's one of the signs most strongly associated with nationhood and the advance of a nation. Now, we mentioned before that Saturn is exerting a negative influence on the people. However, through Mars, we can see a positive link exists through to Saturn, which means that the discipline, the toughness, the character-building qualities of Saturn are harnessed by Mars and integrated with the people's will to adopt a more compassionate form of social revolution, even to bring about the changes that America seems to be so actively seeking. Part of the process of integrating planets and forces in a horoscope which are in opposition is to look at what elements each sign has thematically in common, and both Virgo and Pisces are both associated with service, of giving service. Now, with Mars involved, this is saying that for nationhood to be restored, to be reforged, for a new country to emerge, service is an appropriate and primary key to do this. So all actions, all activities focused on people being of service to each other, giving greater compassion, and paying attention to the details that make things work, to getting better organised, all of this combines to create a result that can be seen and felt. And if we look at the planet which represents power and people, we see it's freshly arrived in the sign of Capricorn, again nationhood. Power and nationhood and people, and we see that Pluto is positively linked to Mercury, so fresh ideas, and the Sun and Jupiter, all of which says the power of the people can be and should be nurtured, should be brought to life. And we see again the Moon is playing a positive role in that, again at a very low degree in Sagittarius, all of which says these planets here are in resonance, that they are supportive of each other and can work together, and in essence, the power of the people, the will of the people, can be, through nurturing, made ascendant, made to dominate the affairs of this country. Now, we should point out that this day, when Barack Obama is being confirmed as the President of the United States, is very auspicious astrologically. It means the energies, the layout of the astrological forces that we've looked at in this horoscope are activated. They're cast forth into the future along with President Obama's presidency. And from all aspects, given the difficult times which are working against the world, this is a particularly favourable day and an excellent day for America to find itself with a new president.